First sip of coffee. What's going on, everybody? We are in, wait for it, Weed, California. That's where we are. That's where my parents live. So we are here on vacation. It is beautiful. What's the elevation, hon? Oh, you don't have your watch on. Yeah. I'm curious to know what the elevation is here.
3,700.
Oh, 3,700. That's not that high. Okay. So it's beautiful and cool in the morning and really nice. It's awesome. So, yeah, we're having a good time. Things are good. Vacation's going good. Brianna's at home working hard. So if you need to order something, feel free to do it. So that's pretty cool. So, okay, today we need to talk about this Diodario or whatever AI thing. You probably have seen something about it on the internet. I think KDH made a video about it. A few people made videos about them. And if you're not familiar, just real quick, basically, they made a demo. It sounded very AI, so people thought they used AI to do it. And they got all crazy about it. Okay, so whether they did or not, we'll get into it a little bit, but I don't want to, whatever. I think there's something bigger to this. Did they use AI? Yes. So they used it in some post-processing stuff. They did not use it to allegedly, according to their statement, which I have a tendency to believe, that they didn't use it to compose. They didn't use Suno or something and just like spit out an AI song, which would be stupid anyway. So think about this just for a second. You are a guitar player, right? And you work at Diodario and they tell you, please make a demo of this thing. And you're going to be like, this is my chance to be heard by millions of people. And I'm just an employee at Diodario. You get to hear how I get to play for you. That's pretty rad. That's a cool, that's a pretty cool thing. And so that person would use AI and then learn the AI song to try to play over it in the video, like lip sync only with your fingers. Makes no sense. I don't get why even people think that. But anyways, so it came out basically according to their whole deal, and I don't know all the details, but basically that they used AI in some post-processing stuff on the production side. So they didn't write the song with it and whatever. So I think this is a bigger conversation. How much AI is too much? And I think there's going to be some people that are going to say that any AI is too much, and I think they are unreasonable. So we're going to talk about this a little bit. People think people are using AI for all kinds of stuff related to music, right? Was the song prompted and generated from nothing? Was AI used to clean up a recording? Was it used for mastering? Was it used to separate stems? Sometimes that's a production thing. Was it used to alter a human performance? Was it used to make part of the video or some of the graphics in the video, or any of that kind of stuff? Was an outside production company, used, and then they used stuff and didn't tell them? Who knows? All this stuff is all possible, right? Was no AI involved at all? We can't say that. If you say AI was involved in anything, it tells you nothing about how much. Okay, so many of you guitar players, mostly the ones with gray hair, don't worry, I have some too, are like, I don't want AI in anything. I don't, blah, 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 blah. Well, here's the deal. Shut your computer off and go live in the woods, because there's no way to get around it. There are a ton of tools that we have been using for many years in recording that are basically the same thing as AI. They just didn't call it that. Okay. And we never eliminated guitar playing. Tools do not tools themselves do not eliminate creativity if you use them correctly. A photographer uses autofocus. You'll use quantize to regulate, your compressor. There's like all kinds of various things. A CNC machine, a laser, all that stuff is all computer based. It's all computer run, and a hand doesn't do it. But the creativity is found in the decisions that you make when you make the stuff, right? So I use a laser to cut out pickup parts, but I have to also design that pickup to make sure that those parts don't affect the tone. I have to figure out what colors are going to go well together. We have to pick materials that are effective. All the creativity around all that has nothing to do with the computer program that runs the laser, right? It's the same thing with this AI stuff. Even generative tools, when we say generative tools, we mean things that you could just say, hey, AI, do this, and it just does it for you. Um, are on a spectrum, right? They're sometimes they can create little aspects of things that can be added in. Sometimes you can, all the way up to just like completely stealing somebody, right? But there's a whole gamut of things that can be done. The problem is that the bias is already so much against AI in the creative space, because they just think that you're just going to take away everything, and it's just everything's going to be, generative content, which for lazy people, I suppose it's true. But as soon as somebody says that music sounds a little weird, oh, it must be AI, and then once Dario denies it, oh, they're lying. And then they present evidence. They made a whole nother post, and they answered comments, and still people are like, nah, that's pseudo. It's weird. I don't understand why that's a thing. Yeah, did they handle it a little wrong? But I don't think they did, actually. Um, when they came out with their original statement, they didn't have all the details, and so they just kind of kept it pretty simple, which you kind of have to do. And then you go and investigate it more, and then they made another statement that was a lot more detailed, which I thought was really cool. One of the things you have to think about too is, from the company's perspective, there is, and Leslie's not here in this video to talk about, but I know with what she does for a living, she could tell you that there's a lot of conversation and a lot of evolution around how it's used, and how it's used ethically, and how it's used. So like, you might not get it right the first time. Maybe Diodario is like, oh yeah, okay, that's a little too much, that's a little weird, next time everybody's learning right now. There's a learning curve in this, how to implement it. People are trying to figure out, how can I use it in a creative way? How can I use it in a good way, in a constructive way, without doing the negative things that people don't want, right? And I think that there's going to be a learning curve to that. There's going to be a lot of businesses. I know there has been for me. I know that I've used it in the past to create a thumbnail, and then I didn't really like it, and then sometimes I make some joke thumbnails and stuff. There's like, and also even to outline videos, various things like that, to search the internet, what's going on in the guitar world. Most of the time, the choices are pretty mediocre, and nothing really sticks out, so I don't use them really. But I have found other ways where it's very, very useful to do super basic office tasks and stuff. So I don't think the criticism should be that any company uses AI for anything. They're trying to just be efficient. They're just trying to, do their best at whatever their job is. I think there has to be a reasonable ethical line with this, where you're using a computer as a tool, just like I'm using this computer and this camera and, digital editing instead of, I edit on Final Cut. Like, I remember actually cutting with a razor blade, 2-inch tape, and literally cutting it and editing actual tape. When they say cuttings on the cutting room floor, edits on the cutting room floor, they literally mean pieces of film cut and thrown on the floor, right? I use AI every day in video editing, only because it's built into Final Cut. So it will do various corrective things with the video. It will find hot spots in the audio and fix them, like all that stuff. It's awesome. It makes for a better production. It makes for a quicker production, and it does not take out. Well, I don't even think about it in the creativity side. It doesn't affect how I make the video. But I think there has to be some sort of ethical line here where somebody says, on one side, AI, no AI anywhere. Okay. What about saying you should never pass off? This seems reasonable to me. Let me know in the comments what you think of this. You should never pass off a generated performance as someone's real performance. You should never say it's I wrote this song when you didn't write that song. It makes sense. I don't think you should ever clone somebody's voice or likeness without their permission. I don't think you should ever do that. I don't think you should replace a commissioned creative work with something AI generated and then claim it was handmade. I don't think you should ever do that. I don't think you should do anything where you're using somebody else's protected content in any way. I don't think that should happen. And I don't think you should ever deliberately lie to your customers about how something was created, right? I just don't think that should. But those are specific behaviors. And the thing is those are human things. Those are, I don't want you to lie to me. I'm not going to lie to you. That's very basic human nature. So as long as we do that, I don't see the problem. We exist in a world now where there are AI assisted tools in just about everything. If you don't want to use AI, you can't Google anymore. If you Google something, it uses AI to find it, and it gives you the AI generated top searches. So you can't use Google anymore. You can't use Facebook anymore. You can't use Instagram anymore. You can't use YouTube anymore. You can't use basically any software has AI related stuff in it now. So what I would recommend is to become more educated, because you're going to have to. Okay, this is literally like when cars replaced horses. This is when the ballpoint pen replaced the fountain pen. This is when the typewriter replaced handwriting. You're going to have to be more educated on it and understand the nuances of what can be done. And what will happen is you might find that it'll be very helpful to you. And as you'll be like, oh yeah, actually I use this AI tool all the time and it's awesome. And at the same time, you will better be able to tell the difference. I think the more you educate yourself on this stuff and don't just pass it off, you will be able to more reliably, without just being like, oh, that's all bad, being like, oh, I can see where that one is a little, you start to be able to tell. But you have to educate yourself a little bit more on it instead of just taking a judgment call on it. Anyway, there you go. So you're going to see it. You got to live with it. It's guitar stuff. It's going to be in your guitar stuff for the rest of your life. So you're just going to have to deal with it.